are you?
I get good. Thank you for asking. Can you talk about, I guess, your relationship? I know you're gonna get asked this anyway, but with Alex Atkins.
Yeah.
What he's meant to you, how long you've known him, what were your first impressions when you met him?
Yeah, I mean, he meant a lot. Like, the first time I talked to him, I was back in Sweden. That was after I decided to come to Florida to play high school. And just talking to him, the first conversation, I knew it was different. And just how we built on that relationship from then till now, it's something that I enjoy, being able to have a coach that I can kind of bond with at that level. So yeah.
We're gonna go front row, Brendan Simone with Knowles 247.
Lucas, hi. You mentioned the decision to come to Florida to play football. What went into that process? How long was that in the making before it actually happened?
I mean, I was at a good academy back in Sweden, but I kind of realized that if I wanted to go kind of where I wanted to go, I knew I had to take the other step and transition to go to high school in America. So my high school treated me great, and I had a great time over there as well.
Go with Zach Blosting.
Because I guess, how's the transition been so far from the high school level to here, and how the workouts been toward duty specifically?
It's been great, like tour duty's tough, but I understand why we do it, and being able to be around the type of guys that we have and type of coaches, it's something that has made my transition easier than normal, I would like to say.
SM Kasim, Tallahassee Democrat.
What was the transition like from the academy in Sweden to when you came over here? What was that transition like, and either on a personal level and football level? What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult to leave everybody I knew back in Sweden and all, but I knew that my academy in Sweden, like, we lived by ourselves and we kind of had a lot of self-responsibility, so I knew that the responsibility part wouldn't be a hard part. It was kind of just leaving everybody I knew, but it turned out great.
We've got one on Zoom here from Matt Baker with the Tampa Bay Times.
Hey Lucas, how did you hear about Clearwater Academy in the first place, and how did they kind of develop you to get to this point where you are now?
Oh yeah, I mean, they reached out to me on Twitter, and I had a great coach, Dan Meyer, so he really took care of me when basically kind of teaching me the basics of football. It was so different from American Sweden, and yeah, it's a great coach.
We've got Aslan with Warchet.
Lucas, you're built like a football player.
Thank you.
Did you know when you wanted to be a football player? How did that?
Yeah, so, I mean, my dad played football for OU, and at first when I was in Sweden, football isn't big over there, so I got introduced to it by my mom, and I mean, after their first practice, I decided that I loved it, and that's what I would do, that's what I love, so yeah. Just kind of took off after that.
Back to Corey here.
Kind of backing off that though, there's a ton of rec leagues in Florida and around this country. What are the options to play football in Sweden? How many leagues are there? How many of your friends play? Like, how did you go find games?
I mean, we didn't do high school football like with your high school team. We had the club footballs, our club football team. So I was in a club football team in Stockholm, and we played other teams in Stockholm and right outside as well.
At what age?
I started when I was 14, 13.
Go Corey.
What are your goals for this year as a freshman? Obviously, there's a ton of talent in your offensive line room, and there's a lot of experience there. You could get on the field, but maybe not. But what are you trying to gain out of this year, your freshman year, trying to get better, working towards the future? What have they told you to do?
I just want to come in and work, to be honest. Like, the players that are already here are great people and people that I can take advice from. And I have Coach Atkins, I have Coach Norvell. Like, there's such a good system around me where I can just learn and develop. So that's kind of my mindset right now. Just kind of soak in everything.
Aslan.
Most of the players in that locker room have been playing since they're like 6 years old, 7 years old. So how does that make you feel from where you are right now, and how good you can become in the next year, 2, 3 years?
Yeah, like, I don't doubt my talents. Like, I know that I have a lot to learn, but just as I said, there's so many great people around me, so I'm just excited to kind of learn and see, and just pick and choose. Or not pick and choose, but like kind of just pick from every brain, basically.
Essen?
Yeah, you said that you it was 13, 14 when you started playing club football.
Yeah.
Did you play any sports before that? Well, you
Yeah.
know, what was that before like that?
I played everything: soccer, basketball, floorball. I mean, handball. Just basically anything I can get my hands on, and just kind of see, okay, what if this works? Okay, what if I like this more? And eventually came down to football, obviously.
Jack Williams with the Democrat.
I guess piggybacking off of that and playing so many sports, I guess what have you learned from that past experience that you've been able to use in your own game and developing that at
Yeah.
your age?
The thing I'm most grateful for is the soccer. It's kind of course, I was bigger than everybody, so I knew that I had to do more to be able to be kind of on par with how they play. Like I knew that I had to get my feet right. I knew I had to get my feet right if I was supposed to run with them. So kind of just having that as something that I strived for when I was playing soccer at that early age is something that I think really helped me out.
Adeline?
Lucas, we hear from so many players about how different Coach Atkins is.
Yeah.
For you, was there a moment, was it you that figured that out, or was it your dad or your mom that was like, hey, this guy just seems different? Can you kind of walk us through some of that?
I mean, as I said before, like just the first conversation, I knew that it's kind of hard to kind of separate the real from the fake, especially as somebody who hasn't grown up with like a hometown school or a hometown something. Like I kind of come into recruiting knowing nothing about the schools really, and kind of just basing off of relationships. I realized that if there's somebody that I want to spend more time with outside of football, outside of coaching, it will be Atkins. So that's kind of what made it really clear for me.
Zach?
Were you always 6'8"? Or kind of when did you hit the growth spurt? When did you hit the growth spurt? And kind of when did you realize that?
Yeah,
I was so hopeful.
I was tall my whole life. I didn't want to accept it. I was the tall guy that just kind of wanted to play small. I didn't really want to make a lot of like, I'm big. I would use that I'm big. I played soccer. I played floorball. Like really just soft. I didn't utilize my frame and my strength really. But it took me like a year into playing football. I kind of realized that they put me at center at first. I kind of realized, okay, if I want to do this, I really like the sport. I kind of got to use my frame. My coaches told me that I didn't want to accept it at first, but then it was just one time when it clicked. I'm like, oh, I'm so much bigger than this guy I'm playing. And it just kind of took off after there.
Logan? Logan Robinson, no game.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that you've had some leaders definitely in the coaching staff helping you get adjusted to college, but what about on the offensive line room specifically? Have kind of gotten you adjusted to the college lifestyle and also being on time in meetings and everything?
So many, the emphasis on the small things is major here, and it's just that since we have older guys who've been in the program longer, they know what the standard is, so you easily just follow what they do, and you'll be like you're doing good. Like I have everybody's been nice, but you have Rob, Darius, Bless, like all of these older leaders that you kind of just like fall back on to kind of see what they're doing, and you just basically follow that.
Aslan?
Lucas, obviously making the transition to college is a big step, but what's the feeling like being around a program that has such high expectations for like the here and now?
Yeah, I mean it's massive, being able to be part of it is something I take great pride in, and it's just being able to be here and just develop and just be part of what the goal is something that I cherish and I really appreciate being a part of.
Anything else for Lucas? I think we're all set. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great job.